Right, so I'm effectively kind of lost. I'm just midway through changing stuff. I'm I'm messing around with the timed effects. If I need to refactor things, I don't know what's gonna happen. But yeah, I'm just gonna see. Which it's been awful. Let me reload. Okay, it feels like loading now, apparently. But yeah, so I've now got the notion of timed effect. So like this would be your buffs. But they're getting their own repository. It's always I need to split so much of this out now. It's becoming unwieldy. But because originally we started with like nothing, well, I'm not too fussed. I'm gonna lose my mind over it. Let's let's make a timed effect repository then. Let's give it timed effect. The thing is, it's so quick to spawn these up. It's not really the end of the world anyway. Oh, that one. As you can see, I'm super lazy. Let's just get copy and paste. Right. Timed what did I just call it? Timed effect. Repository. And as always, if anybody's got any questions, just ask away. Yeah, I don't know why that's been passing because it's gonna get overwritten. But anyway, doesn't matter. I'm not gonna lose my mind over that. So I need to. Oh, I haven't loaded that stuff at one moment. One memento, por favor. Oh, for God's sake! Everything's gonna start beeping now. Right, no, go away, Firebolt. Don't care about you. Right, make regen. Yes. Let's see our first timed effect. But because the timed effect wraps the underlying effect, so it's still an effect for all intents and purposes. So we can, wherever we use an effect, we can pass this in and it'll just work. Right. I was thinking that I could do with having some like something like that, which might be like potency or something. I don't know, but I'll think about that at a later date. It can last for. Oh, where's the duration? Low. That'll probably be seconds. That's for 10 seconds. And frequency will be every second. That seems legit. Oh, but I'm also going to need a types for that now. The thing is, as well with this, because it's all data driven, it's quite moddable. So when we get to moving it to JSON or whatever, you just provide your own JSON things and oh my gosh, oh, excuse me. No, that doesn't inherit it. Did I do something silly the other day? Yes, that shouldn't be static. Go away. Don't want static classes. Fine. Right, so regional will be the first one we make, then we can make poisons and stuff off the back of that. This should probably be ints, but I'm not going to lose my mind over that either. There we go. Well, let's inject this into the module. Yeah, see, while it looks like a lot of stuff, really, we're just building up the database for the game. But if you imagine any RPG game, they're going to have all this sort of stuff in there. It's just, it's all spread out. In here, it's all in one place where it's configured. I don't like that as much. Anyway, let's inject that in. No, so spell repository, spell repository, spell repository, repository. You know what? I'm going to inject in the thingy repository here as well. Oh, should I? Yeah. Yes, let's do it for the moment. It's always a bit scary. It's a bit of a code smell when you have a repository in a repository. In here, we do actually need to get access to do the thing. Unless maybe. No, let's have it as a. Yeah, let's have it as a separate thing. It's a bit of a code smell, but we can sort that later. I'm not too fast. Because really, as well, I'm kind of thinking that maybe I should be splitting out some of this stuff as well. Because at the moment, I kind of I make it all within the repository, which I shouldn't really be doing. I should be just because in the real world, you'll load it from a file and then put it into the repository. And I should be doing that here, really. I make all this stuff externally on a list, then just dump it in. So just have a folder, like a class for creating this stuff. Oh, don't know. I don't know. Anyway. Retrieve it, and we want timed regen. Actually, that's minor regen. That's called minor regen. Minor regen. And let me filter and just see where the error is. Right. So hopefully that should build. Build 60, cool. Right, I'm gonna blow my nose. True story. Oh my good god, I'm out of tissue paper. This is the worst day ever. I'll be back in a minute. There we go, suitably blown there. Of the nasal variety. Right, spell types, that's not spell type, that is regen. Well again, that should probably be called minor regen. Yeah, it's because the thing is, so far, effects are seen as kind of transient things, they're just descriptive bits of data. Whereas a timed effect is actually a stored bit of data in a database. But you would potentially want to change that. So it needs to, yeah, it needs to live here. It's fine. The serialize and deserialize will be clever enough anyway, I think, to work out what's going on. But once we've at least got to the point where all of this sort of stuff's been added to the game, so the functionality is there to make as much of this stuff as I want, then it just becomes a game design job then, to just go through and go, right, okay, let's make loads of cards, let's balance them, and then try it out. Right. It's not called Fireball, it's called Minor Regen. And, oh, actually, you know what we can do? You know what we can do here? Oh my goodness. Because this is named, so we might as well just pull that through. No point rewriting all of that. Description, done. I don't even have a clue if this stuff works, so I guess the best way to test it is to actually use it. Let's go to application. Right, so we'll give the player another card now. No spell types. Right, we need to make a handler for this as well. And like I said the other day, to be honest, some of this might get just completely munged into pre-made. I don't know yet. It's one of the reasons I don't like TDD much, because it kind of, well, from my perspective, it kind of stifles your creativity. It's good to kind of map out like a surface API or something. When you try to organically work out like how bits are going to fit together, it's kind of more like, it's like messing with clay or something. You're molding something. But you shouldn't be afraid to just mold something and then go back and go, no, that's rubbish, and just mold it into something else. Right, we'll change this one. Right. That seems fine. Comes in here. Get the unit. There's no unit we've pooped out. Okay. So, at this point then, we're going to want to unit dot active effect dot add. And this time we're going to give it the because the timed effect just describes the timing of the effect. It doesn't. It's not actually an implementation of it. So, actually, first of all, let's just unit dot single default X. So if we've already got a minor region on there, we don't actually want to So at the moment we can stack things as well. So I'm kind of thinking, well, we could potentially stack this multiple times. I think I've said 2 is the max stacking, but I can change that. That's data driven, that's fine. So if we do have one. If you've got an existing regen, because those both are short circuit quicker, so this will be the quickest way out, I think. We've already got one. Stop that. And then we gotta check, is the stack less than existing regens dot effect dot max stack? If so, regens dot stack that existing regen, not really yet. Right, so bump the stack to existing regen dot. Right, we reset it, but we won't mess with the ticks because the ticks can reset. There we go. That basically resets it and doubles it up. So you can potentially just keep staggering it in, keep it on forever if you wanted to, juggling it or whatever. Okay, right. So if that's the case, we're done. We're done at that point. Return. Return true. Well, actually, oh. Then false, we can't cast it there, but return true here. Return true. Okay, cool. So that's, we managed to use it, we've added to the stack. We haven't used it, bin it off. And at this point, we're going to want to create the active one. It's going to be a new active effect. The effect is going to be the spell effect. See, I know it's the first one. Yeah, see, this is where I thought it'd be a struggle to try and make it generic to begin with, because right now we don't know. Like, I mean, I know for this specific instance, it's always going to be first, but we don't know. Like, if we were to make this more generic and it was just going to be a spell handler, you wouldn't always know that the spell's gonna be that. So yeah, but some of this is useful. So like this thing here, we could kind of we can probably take that out and make a generic stack spell or something. And I've kind of been doing that on and off. I'll do a branch on OpenRPG and adds this sort of stuff where it's useful. Because I think unless you've seen these use cases, it's hard to know how people are going to use it, really. So it's swings and roundabouts. Right, anyway. Oh yeah, add that into there. Cool. And we're also going to need to set on here let's get a default. That's that one. Yeah, those can be just default. We're fine there. I wonder if stacks automatically defaults as well. Point defaults as 0. That's stupid. It should point default as 1. Let's go quickly go check that in the code. What's it called? Timed effects. Wrong project. I got one of them open. I'm just doing this off window for a minute in case you're wondering why you're not seeing anything. Timed effects. Oh no, max stack is 1 by default. Good thinking. Good thinking, me. Pastly helping futurely. That's what we like. Right, yes, add that. Cool. Then we don't need to do anything. We need to raise an event, sorry. We need to raise an event. So let's raise an event. Events. No, we don't have the event. Let's get the event thing. Don't need half of this stuff. Put it in the bin. Put it in the bin. Was level actually used? Oh yes, level is used. I do need level. Just don't need them. In the bin. Bye bye. And then we'll just make a new constructor. See, Resharper's great for that. I'm not sure if it's worth like 200 quid a year or however much it is just for that, but there's many bits for which are good. Right, new oh, it affects something event. Effect added event, there we go. And what's it want? The active effect is the active region effect. And the unit is the unit. There we go. What's fun with that? Oh, unit equals unit. I've been doing too much JavaScript. It just automatically does the things. Right, there we go. So publish that up. Cool, good job there. Good job. So let me just check the tick system. There's a system which just automatically goes around ticking all these events off every unit each turn. This way, having it as a proper ECS thing would pay dividends, because with that it would be a lot quicker to just tick everything down. Whereas here it has to loop around. Well, actually, it's not that much different, really. Anyway, systems. Look at how much stuff we have now. Which is good in a way, because everything's doing something. But it's the thing, it's been organically driven to some extent, but we've still got fairly good design, everything's separated. There's a lot of code here, but there's a lot of logic to the game, so. But at least it's not all stored in like your game objects in Unity and stuff. Right. Effect timing system. And action tick. Right, so that one handles the something has ticked. This one handles the active effect for every unit. Go off and do stuff. Yeah, so for every unit. Well, actually, units that are alive, probably. Can you imagine if you had regen on a dead person and they suddenly get back to life on the next round? Is not dead. You know, we don't want that to happen on dead people. I'm half tempted to kind of start making some computed as well, but I had a quick look into the code for it, and I can't remember how they work. Can't remember for the life of me. I'd have to read the docs quickly. For each unit in a live unit. There we go. It's not as nice because we can't do this big link thing. And if you're new, why we can't do the for each is because this is now an enumerable. That was a list before. So you could do list dot for each. But when it's an enumerable, you for some reason can't do for each. I don't know why. Because really it's just going to be doing this. I guess it's because it could potentially be an infinite sequence. In which case it would proper poo the bed. So you have to explicitly go, no, I know that it should be for each. But saying that, it's no different to me technically putting it there. Let's forget about that. Yes, that's all there. That's all there. Let's see what happens. I'm expecting it to blow up, but I've been surprised before. Happy to be surprised again. So, you want minor regen? You generate a small amount of HP over time. Let's let somebody get a bit battered. An old Gucci face. Oh, look, we're getting more cards. I have to put a max card thing on as well. Right, so at this point, oh, poor Gucci. He's been battered. Oh no. I think if I put this on him, if I keep it paused. No, oh, sorry, that was normal heal. Let's put that on him. Did that work? Didn't seem to. No. Blew up. Didn't know what was happening. Right, let me refresh again. Try again. Because I used the wrong card anyway. What an absolute moron. Let's just speed along from it. Right, he's lost some health. So let's... Old Gucci face. Let's put that on it. Right, okay, so it blew up. Why spell card to tile? Oh yes, that's fine, because it was a thing. What is the problem there? Line 47. Like card tile to... Again, it's just so awful that we can't easily debug in here. But again, I'm gonna move to Unity at some point, so this is all just gonna get left in an open source state where it's kind of functional and works, and then I'm gonna move on to actually making the real game in Unity. God, what was the line number? Oh, God. Should have read it. Anyway. Okay, come in here. Oh, God, yeah. I'm gonna have to run it again. What a useless individual. What a useless human meat sack. Let's get the F12s on. F12s. Just plunk it on Gucci. Pause. It's good the game's still running though. It hasn't completely died. Right. 47. Line 47. I know why. I know why. What an absolute tub of butter. Right. What's happened is we've made an eye regen-y whatever face. I'll show you. Module. Game module. There, we got a Firebolt spell handler. We now need a regen spell handler. So that's what was going on there. But again, because it's debugging this, you would expect it to just fire a fucking like exception there. Hey, something's wrong, and I could debug actually what was wrong there and then, but I can't now. That's why this is starting to become more problematic in the long run. It seemed like a cool idea to begin with, going, hey, let's just do it in the web, because the web is easier to iterate on, definitely. But yeah, right. I'm thinking that he actually let's just get him hammered down a bit more, because I'm thinking is I'm gonna apply it, and it's just gonna keep ticking even though the game's paused. So the game's paused. No, wrong one. Let's have a little look over it. Little look. I need to shrink those combat logs. They're super annoying. Let's put that on him. Watch 36. My God, maybe this will just work. Maybe this will just work. 36. No, he's not getting healed, is he? Zero shit's given there. Just wasted. Fuck off, Henry person. just blat them. Dead. Get out of here, chump. I'm not sure if killing them that way though raises the event. Oh, apparently it does. Apparently it does. It's fine. This is fine. You have some of that. You don't. Just give your enemies more health. I don't care. Why is that not applying? Go on. Give him some health. Give him some strength. No. Oh, a real error. 71 was not present in the dictionary. 71? Magic. Oh, why did it care about magic? I'm not using magic. Stupid thing. Apply card to unit system. Line, whatever it was. 61. Right, maybe... Why is that just blowing up now, though? It should give him some magic. Right, just to... You know what, I'm going to go to the builder. The unit builder. Yeah, compute that. Go through, do the thing. Unless, oh, is the bug being introduced somewhere? Oh no. Oh no. The bug. Oh no. But right, while I'm in here though, let me have a look. What was the timed thing that I did? No. God, maybe it was the regen thing. Minor regen spell handler. Yes, okay, so this. Right, so let me just have a quick look. Actually, this is going to go in OpenRPG base, I think. I'll just whack this over here for a minute so you can actually see some code. Instead of me just prattling on about pretending I'm doing code. Right, so we don't have units here, but we do have this I has active effect. Well, entity. It's not really an entity in ECS terms, but it's an entity nonetheless. So get single or default where, and we want the timed effect. Right. Right, so in this case it's going to be the timed effect ID. Cool. And this is going to be existing effect. As if it's null, just bin it. Don't care. Actually, no, we need to return a bool here, so we know if it. Return false. So we didn't find one. If we did get one here, though, however, yeah, return false again. We couldn't apply it. If we have, though, we have got that. Up the thing, reset the thing. Cool. Yeah, short circuit again. And then, yeah, button that, return true. Okay, cool. That's now in the base there, and we'll call this, so on the active effect thing, it's going to be called on there with that. I don't like if possible. That's just a bit too witty. Tempt stack active effect 4, and then we go to the thing. Yeah, that reads okay. Tempt the stack effect. There we go. There we go. That'll do. That'll do. Right, I need to just push that up. Was there any other things that I thought I might be able to go into here? No, that'll do for now. OpenRPG, no, that one. Yes, there we go. You go away that one. Don't need more that. Right. Let me put this over here as well. Some of that. There's too many windows. There we go. There we go. Right, push that up. Because the cool thing is, because I've managed to push that extension method down into the open source library. I mean, I'm kind of cheating because I own the open source library and do what I want with it. But I found a good use case here. So it's like, well, actually, I don't really need this logic in here anymore. I can just bin that off, and that's all now being pushed down to the lower level, which is cool and good. Right, so I have to wait for a minute for that to go through, and also I'm gonna need to quickly bump the version on the fantasy genre one as well. So that's this one. So I'll wait for the NuGet thing to get pushed through. While that's happening, Let's try and make a poison handler. Let's try and make a poison one. Actually, I've done... Oh yeah, because it's health bonus. It's not... I'll think about that later. Right, I want a new spell type. Because this raises another problem I haven't thought about. So let's say that we've put a dot on somebody. More dots. So you've put a poison on on the peasant. And the peasant's died. Well, it's still gonna keep ticking. It's still gonna oh, no, wait, it's not because it's dead and I put the check in for that. Fine, it's fine. I'm trying to just make more work for myself there. Right, minor poison. Poison. Right, jump back over there. Yes, that I did increment that. I've incremented that. Let's go back to the repository. It'll probably only take like 2 minutes for NuGet to rejig and know there's a new version. And I'll do on the fancy one, I'll do the version upgrade for that, because that's kind of laid on top of OpenRPG. And then I'll release the fancy one, which will contain the fix for the magic thing, which was happening before randomly. It's because I made an extension method in there to allow the... Well, I'll just show you quickly. So, these are... Because the way OpenRPG is made, stats are just... There's just a variables object. It doesn't know about health and... So, because if you're in a sci-fi setting, you don't care about strength and dexterity or whatever. Well, you might do. I don't know. But because it... Like, each genre is kind of built for its own sort of own setting. So we've got these extension methods which are kind of applied to this, which act as getters and setters. So you see, these are all getters, but then this one's a setter because you pass it a value. And historically, we just had this one. But in so many places in code, you'd end up doing this. Where you'd be like, well, is the value now going to be greater than max health? Is the value less than 0? Whatever. So we've put these checks into here, and we've also added some add magic, deduct magic, add health, deduct health. So that you're not having to go, hey, go get me the health, plus this, add that. It's just, you can kind of do all of that in here. So that's kind of a nice helpful bit. But as part of that one there said max magic, which is why we've got the error. Because there's no unit tests on this stuff, because there's so much, like, it's all simple pass-through stuff. None of it's really logic. I mean, this is logic now. I've introduced some logic there. So maybe at some point I will go through and put some unit tests on. Like ECSRX, that's got tons of unit tests. But this one, because it's all just models. I mean, the defaults, they could probably do with testing. But ain't nobody got time for that right now. But do test. Testing is very good. You want to be testing stuff. Right, minor poison. And I want a spell repository. Oh, no, I want the timed effect repository. I keep putting off the converting everything to actual data files, but I'm going to have to do that soon. And that'll also make me go back and do the editor thing. Well, it depends. It depends on how you see things. So, if we look over the stat extensions, nothing here is identical. So, like, strength. That one there is go to the stats variable and apply strength. Now you got to remember as well, this needs to be semi-performant. So because it's using an index, it's basically an index lookup. So internally, I think the variables is an array or a dictionary or something. So it's basically just keyed off that. So most of this, like where you got health here, that's a getter because you're not passing anything because these are all extension methods. So you go, hey, give me the stat, off you go. But this kind of adds the convention of, so I can, for example, I can go stats dot health with whatever strength. So it kind of lets you use the stats like, again, this is because I've got this genre one on here. If I was to use a sci-fi genre, I wouldn't have these, I'd have other things. But because the core library doesn't have a clue what you're going to be using, it just gives you an, I think it's an iVariable. iVariables, yeah, iVariables float. Yeah, and internally, that's kind of like you can subscribe to changes on it, you can remove it, you can check if it has it, and then you got an index access, and I can't remember how it's implemented, but I think it's a dictionary or something. But yeah, so the idea is that you can you kind of use these as a way to do quicker lookups and references on it. And also, we've probably taken enough time now that the other release has gone through. I love Rider, but I really wish it would just let me click on all these and update them all at once. But it refuses to do that. Because the thing is as well with design patterns, it's like with anything. Once you know the rules of something, you know which rules you can break. Like music. Music, for example, that's a very good example for that sort of thing. When you're learning music theory and stuff, they teach you so many rules about things. I don't know that much music theory, by the way. But they'll teach you an awful lot of rules around how composition should be done. But then they say, but most of the good music breaks those rules, but in very specific ways. So I personally, I don't see a problem here with because it's not like I am repeating myself. Although you might see a lot of strengths and healths in here, it's getters and setters. So, and if you were going to put these as because back way back in the day, these were individual properties, rather than using this variables approach. But it didn't scale well, because also you can add your own extensions to stats if you need to, which I do in one of my other games, which is totally like. By the seat of my pants prototype, but that kind of builds on this and does some custom stuff. Right, yes, that's all built. The latest one, right, let's release this one. Been almost all the projects I do, it's more like design pattern first with a lot of it. So there's always composition over inheritance, there's always inversion of control. I'll generally be using dependency injection. And you have people going, oh, you don't want to use that in game dev. It's like, why not? Give me a good reason why not. And the first one is, performance. Well, IOC doesn't cause any performance hits. There's 0 there. And if you will actually dependency injection take, well, 1 second. Let me just push this up. Yes, there's the argument of, well, dependency injection's slow. It's slow, right? And yes, it will be. Compared to just instantiating a class or whatever, yes. It will be slow compared to that. However, you pay for that cost at the very instantiation of your app. So if you have to spend an extra 10 milliseconds loading your app, I don't think people are going to lose their minds over that. Especially when you get a lot of benefits from it. I'm not sure if they're still using it, but a friend of mine who runs his own game studio was actually using this library for one of his projects. But the thing is, COVID kicked off the moment he started using it. It was like, oh no. It does. It does. So if you go to this iStats variable and go down to the actual iVariables, there's an index. Well, actually, sorry, it's an indexer on there with a getter and a setter. I mean, you could have a get. I mean, there's no reason why you couldn't have another variable thing on top of that. But in terms of how most people, like, if you imagine that you're, let me just make a notepad thing here. In most people's games, they expect to be able to go something like that. Like, is my strength? If strength greater than 10, do something. That's what most people would expect. Now, you could say, well, okay, we're going to have it so it's if my char get strength. You could have that. But then it's like, well, okay, there's get strength greater than 10. And then let's say you've got a my char dot set strength. I don't know why I'm typing in JavaScript notation here rather than rather than C# style. But yeah, you could do that. You could do that. But in this case, it's just, well, it's actually on the stats, because the stats are what contain the actual data. I could make an extension method to push them out though. Because it's an overloaded method. There you go. So those two there are the same as the ones below, really. It's just one thing to remember. You just go all the strength. Because that way it's kind of equal to if you imagine you're doing that, it's kind of like you're assigning it. That's what I'm for. But for better or worse, that's how it runs. There's a few users of it, but nobody's complained about that before. So has that been pushed out now? Yes. So hopefully we'll get the new release on that in a minute. Because it's really difficult trying to make it extensible. Because again, the idea with it was you could make a Diablo style game, you could make a Neverwinter Nights style game, you could make Mass Effect style game. Well, I'm saying these games, really, this just handles the mechanics aspect. Like, when I shoot a gun, what type of damage does it do? How much defense do they have? Or what is an item? How much is an item worth? Because like an item, for example, those variables, items have them as well. So if I go to where's items? So Gnome has item variables, and on that there's some extensions for I can't remember what they are off the top of my head. Max weight, flow, weight, max slots. And again, you don't even have to use these. You can make your own. Because that thing, because it's just variables, you can literally tack on your own types. Because this just comes out of the box with these ones. You might have an attaché case like Resident Evil 4. Do you actually want it to be size based? To be max size or size, stuff like that. And also, like inventory. Inventories are an interesting one because in some games, characters have inventories. In other games, players have the inventories and characters just have equipment. So it gets really, when you try to think of all these different RPG scenarios, try to work out, well, and it's not just RPGs, like I've got a space game which uses this as well. And you're just you're just a spaceship there. So your character is the ship, kind of. And then you've got an inventory on that. So it swings around us. But the idea is it doesn't try to be too opinionated in how you use stuff. It will give you some defaults, but you just use whatever you want. And I mean, the fancy one, you don't even have to use that. That was just kind of one of the, hey, here's how a common thing would look. But you'd bin that off, and I did start making a sci-fi one, but it turned out there wasn't that much sci-fi stuff to put in there. So I might revisit that when I look back at the ship game. Because I quite enjoyed working on that, and you know, like when people learn a new language and they do like, oh, I'm gonna write a blog or something. I'm gonna write a blog in this new language. I've done quite a few like rewrites to that ship game thing. Let me see if I can find an image. Because funnily enough, the earlier images of it look far more impressive. Like what the hell just happened? Let's go to that one. Look at that one. That one looks semi-impressive, right? That's what's happening there. That's like a pretty cool space game, right? Literally all that it is a planet, a planet model with some fancy effects on and a starship. That's literally it. There's no game there. Although that looks cool, right? People be like, oh yeah. Ignore that thrusters thing there. They'd be like, oh yeah. I want to play that game because it looks good. But then we actually go back and we go to how it looked after I'd actually started putting like logic and stuff in. Maybe people aren't wanting to play this game anymore. It's like, oh no, we've got lots of ships, but you notice how all the ships are kind of dynamic-ish, they're all different shapes. Well, they're not really dynamic. They've all got different chassis types with bolt-on slots and stuff. But this uses that same thing for the mechanical aspect of it all. Are there any others on there? Any others? Oh yeah, look at this. It's shooting in space. Boo, 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 boo. Look at that. A thing of beauty. I started to make a 2D. The frames per second on this GIF for some reason is awful, but I started making like a little story-based point and click sort of thing. That doesn't use this system though. As you can see at the moment, I'm just kind of padding for time because I need the thing to go through. The NuGet thing. I started doing a that's actually a 3D model running in real time and being animated in 3D on Unity. But I've kind of made it so that it kind of turns it into a, you know, like how Dead Cells does it? I started kind of trying to mess around with a game like that where everything would actually be 3D models with IK and stuff. But the way it animated it all, it would just kind of go, oh, actually, we'll make it all look like sprites. Limited success there. Oh, this is a good one. If this is the one I think it is. Oh, let's restart that. Let's restart that. The old King poo. Yeah, that's the king. Oh, he's pooing. Doing a little poop. And the people love it. The people love the king's poo. Yeah, this is a complete joke game where you were going to have to be a servant and your job was to get the king's poo and get it out the nearest window or whatever as fast as possible. And the king's people they'd be all sucking up to him, but eventually he's going to get too much poo and then the game's over. And also assassins might try and kill you. I don't know about that. We didn't get that far in that. We just prototyped a bit. We had a turn-based battler starting. Didn't get very far with that one. I quite like this one. This was like a day at most. And this was quite good, like some little zomboids. There they are, little zomboids. And I quite like the lighting. I mean, I don't like it when it spins around, that's a bit messy. But you see the little light cut out of the light, I quite like that. And he's got layered equipment as well. He's made like that. It's like just layer him. Like a cake. When you see this, made this. This is a node-based code generator, which is open source that I haven't finished. It kind of works, but it needs more work on it. But yeah, there we go. That's it. You see this here? This is me holding a controller, right? And that works. But if I aim the controller into my leg, it doesn't work. And I was asking online, hey, internet denizens, does your controller stop working when you aim it at your leg? And people were like, no. Have you got like titanium shins? No, I don't know if I have. Oh, you see how that was an ML? That is being upscaled by an AI that's been trained to upscale 8-bit and 16-bit games. And it doesn't look that great, does it really? You may as well just sigh 2 times to it, whatever. But that was something I was working on for a while. I quite like old emulator games, but I want to my idea was. You say I added a bit of detail into some of these bits. I wanted to add detail in, so it would actually turn that grass into like grass from a modern pixel game, like Graveyard Keeper. But alas, it didn't work. Oh, and this is actually the editor. You know, I keep saying, oh, there's an editor for OpenRPG. That's the editor for it there. And that kind of writes out to and reads from JSON files. So you can kind of just like build like effect types and stuff like that. That's quite cool. Yeah, so there's a sword. A long sword, a short sword. There you go, and you can add effects and requirements and things. Yeah, well anyway, the thing should be done. Things should be done. And the NuGet thing up here. It's been, I tend to do more open source development now because I kind of got bored of, the thing is when you're doing your own project, it's kind of no one else gets to, unless you complete it, no one else gets any value from it. And when I'd be doing my own projects, I quite often be like with OpenRPG, that came from, I was doing a space game, I'd done a PHP MMO many years ago, which had the same sort of mechanics. I started to do a Silverlight MMO thing, which had the same sort of mechanics. turn-based RPG thing. There's so many games which all had this underlying sort of. They have effects, they have items, they have requirements, they have combat, which is pretty much always a one-to-one style thing. It was like, well, all of that can be expressed in a generic way, and that's how this came about. Did I update them there? Yeah, I must have done. Must have done. Right, let me just quickly make this poison one. Already got that. Already got that. Minor regen. Sounds like a band with a minor regens. Poison. I mean, do you do development? You must do development to know what dry is. Right, it's not gonna be health restore. It's gonna be let's do dark damage. Dark damage amount. It's gonna be 3 damage. You can stack it 3 times. It's gonna last like 15 seconds, and it's gonna tick every. Oh, actually no. Let's put the duration down a bit. Put the duration down to like 7. It's gonna tick every half second. Kill him. I'm not sure if this will work. I'm just making more probable things to go wrong here. Now, why do I do this to myself? Right, spell repository. Actually, before I do that, let me just check that the other bit works. Oh, also, I'm not sure if you see it. Let me post a link. I was amazed by this. This is they announced this today. It's basically they've got effectively through WASM you can effectively load Node into your browser, and you can basically dev in it, and it's faster than deving locally. The future is now, apparently. Okay, so that's all going okay. Right, so let's just heal Gucci. He's 46, now 50. Oh yeah, because 50 is his max, I assume. 15, 10. Oh, and Constitution gets added on and stuff. Yeah, okay. Right, okay, so let's go to the next level, and we'll use the minor regen. Ah, hate that enemy person. Just die. Right, let's minor regen on Gooch. I'm expecting when this works, even though the game's paused, it's still gonna take. If it does work. Not doing anything. Why are you not doing anything? Ah, yeah, get crap. Wait, the game hasn't shut the bed. That's something, right? Why is that blowing up there? That was a strength thing. Stop. 71 was not present in the dictionary. And like I said before, this is super annoying because the whole point of debugging is it throws the exception in here so I can debug it. If it's not throwing in here, there's no point of debugging. I kind of get to the point where I'm like, oh, I might just draw a line in this and go, look, there's the open source version, cool, and just move into Unity and actually do some proper development. 71. 71 is, oh, let me just double check. That extension magic, but refresh unit start. Yes, that's fine because it does go through and refresh the start. I don't get it. Don't get it. Let me just double check that it's got the latest ones. Unless maybe it needs to rebuild before it does it. Because that code's definitely fixed. Yeah, magic. Magic, magic, magic. The only other possible bit could be if max magic isn't set before you use this. Oh no. That's not right. Well, that's probably it. It's like I shouldn't have messed with it. I should have, because originally this was all in my layer in here. But I thought this is actually quite useful. I'll push it up. But alas, it never quite goes the way you want it to. Through my own sheer incompetence, though. Like, I'm the only one who can be held to account here. Right. Someone's going through. Right, let's go back to the poison thing while waiting for that. So the spell... Not that it matters because the other one doesn't work. The regen doesn't work, so... Make mine a poison. I'm also not sure if Gucci's going to be on tonight. I was hoping he'd be on. Right. Oh. The thing is, with GitHub, you tend to do bigger releases. So it's like, on major releases, you'd be like, yeah, here's everything that's happened. I mean, I did look at getting an auto sort of thingy one, where it generates the changelog from your commits. I just refused to work properly. Minor poison. Right. Yes, minor poison. Poison. Yeah, that's fine. Cool. I mean, there's some commonality there as well. These, because you kind of got two types of spells. You got the ones which are just go off and do some damage, and the ones which are go and apply like an effect. And you could mix them. You could have one which goes, well, actually do some damage and then do a dot, or give them a buff for 3 hours. I don't know. I don't know anymore. Alright, so let me go to the tick system. Well, actually, first of all, let me make sure the tick system's actually getting injected in. Game module. No, it's not that bit. Where's the system? No. Oh god, I haven't seen the application. It keeps throwing me. Because normally, this would be, yeah, the systems will actually be here. Effect timing systems, yeah, that one's in there getting bound. Every update, get the elapsed time. And maybe the elapsed time's not being set or something. Because I've never run this through Blazor before. I assume it should just work. Because it's using RX under the hood. So the observables should all hook up. I don't know. I'll check. Do a little breakpoint there. And, of course, if we want to debug... Oh, there we go. We've got the 5-second delay there. So if you haven't got that 5-second delay, no debugging for you. And even if you have got it, it doesn't debug half the time. Don't believe Microsoft's lies when they say Blazor's ready for the prime time. It's not. Yes. So, I mean, the thing is, it's quicker to iterate here, just using it through code, because I've got, like, IntelliSense, I've got compile time safety. The moment I start loading it through JSON files, I've got to be a bit more stringent on making sure IDs match up, making sure that all the syntax is right, and I've also got to select the serialization framework to go through. I'd normally use persistity to do that sort of thing, and I can make a pipeline and just be like, well, here's my load data pipeline, here's my save data pipeline and stuff, and here's how to load all the other bits. I do that in Stronghold, which is one of my other games. But I've said, like, constantly on this, it's going to come to a point where I go, right, okay, all the functionality's in place, now let's make it data driven from external files. And literally all that will happen is, if I go to the literally all that will happen is in here, where these aren't taking anything, there'll be a, yeah, because these can take in the data there. All that will happen is you will load up the JSON files, then just shove them in there. I mean, I might not do that. I'd probably do it here because at least take the bite of loading it all up front. And to be honest, shoving all that stuff into memory isn't going to cost you much. Like if you look in Unity and like you're loading stuff through the scriptable objects, and a load of other stuff, and your objects in the scene which have like a load of this data, it becomes really, really boggy quickly. Because you tend to duplicate data a lot there. But because there's only one source of truth for a lot of this in the repositories, even if you'd load in every single like bit of data, you probably even like a max a couple of meg. Like textures are bigger than that these days. So I'm not too fussed about when I read it in. Anyway, elapsed time. Yes, we have a delta time there. So let me go into here. Get rid of that one. Like, this shouldn't get hit yet. Yeah, that's fine, because we don't have any. Don't have any. But now if I pause this and do this on Gooch, yes, that should trigger. That's right. That's right. Yes. Oh, it's removing it straight away. Why is that? What's it called then? I'm sure duration was a float. Yeah. Why would it be a float if it's in milliseconds? That wouldn't make any sense. And I hadn't paused for 26 seconds there. I don't know, I can feel my brain turn to jelly on me. That's gonna be the problem. It's effectively just kicking out the moment that it's gone through because the duration's not right. Right, let me go back through the durations and just turn them to milliseconds. Even though the whole point of being a float there is that the float represents a second, because you'd be 0.1 to be like 100 milliseconds. Right, anyway, timed effect repository. So let's just whack duration up to like that. And instead of 7 seconds, that'd be 10 seconds. If we're working in the frequency. Why is that an integer? Region's a float, but that's an integer. No, that's a float. Yeah, so right, that should be every second frequency, and that should be every half second. I'll have to look over that tomorrow and check. Like, the thing is, this was written years ago, and I'm constantly like, I'm sure it's in the docs actually. Right, so what? Yeah, let's just undo that. Go. The back. Oh, well, he hadn't lost any health, had he? That's not a good test. That's not a good test. Let's go again. Go again. But the other cool thing as well of using persistity is that I can because you make a data pipeline. It's let me just quickly lose some more health on Goo. Well, actually, what am I doing? Let's just firebolt him. There we go. Right, now minor regen. Minor regen. What is wrong now? Oh my good god. Just Kill me now. Oh, it's used on touch. Great. Great. Because he needed it. Oh my god. End it all now. Give him the time. I'll go to bed in a minute. But yeah, if I go to a persistity. Right. So on this one, the idea is that it's kind of a bit like Akka, but not 100%. Ultimately, it's kind of like you're doing like an ETL sort of process. So you go, right, okay, I want a binary serializer. I'm going to shove that in a file. And then you basically build your pipeline going, right, I start with the input, I serialize it to a binary, and then I send that to a file, build it. Then this bit here is your binary file pipeline. And then you shove whatever you want in there, and it goes, right, okay, I'll serialize it to binary and shove it in there. Cool and good. And if you want to read back, well, actually on this one it's like, oh, you want to add encryption to it. So you get an encryption data processor and you add that in there. So serialize it with binary, process with an encryption processor, shove it in the file. And on this one's like the deserializer. So you deserialize it, effectively start with the file endpoint, which is where your save game is. Decrypt it, do the binary deserializer and build. So then effectively your game data is that reversed. So the idea is that once you've made these pipelines, you can inject them in anywhere, because dependency injection, you just make an I load data pipeline, I save data pipeline, and off you go. You just inject them wherever you want them. You don't even need them at the start, though, really. For save game and load game, you wouldn't. For that, you would actually want a legitimate pipeline. But yeah, you can make bespoke pipelines and stuff, and strongly typed pipelines. There's also ones for like wiretapping and things. But this started as part of ECSRX, then became its own project outside of that. But yeah, that's one thing that I will probably look at adding in later at some point. You don't even need these bits. You can put them on a model. Say I want these certain bits to be persisted. But if you don't have any of them, you can tell it, hey, just persist everything. Because ECSRX has a persistence layer in case you want to try and serialize the scene or load the scene, which has some custom things on there. But because you can use wiretapping as well, you can effectively have it so that when this happens, you can wiretap there and put an event on, so that every time that happens, tell your event service or whatever, go off and say this file's loaded, and you can kind of, it's kind of a bit like Apache Camel, if you've ever used or heard of that, and with some things taken from Akka. But generally, yeah, that's the idea. So all these bits of tech exist to do this sort of thing. It's just at the moment, I haven't hooked them all up. Because again, I'll come on it in the night, and then I'll try and remember what I was supposed to be looking at based off the issues in here. And I'll be like, right, okay, yeah, need to do one of these issues. Off I go. So yeah, but the bug, I'm gonna have to look at that bug. There's something not quite right there. Oh, but I can get the new Nugo one. But I think I'm gonna go watch some anime. It's quite nice winding down, watching some person batter the shit out of some other people in a comic setting. Like, that should at least fix that. Oh my god. The cards, so I think I'm going to push the cards at some point into a plugin for OpenRPG. I'm still not sure. I'm thinking I'll wait till this is kind of fully working, then I'll know exactly the scope of it all, and I can go shove it out. Anyway, I'm going to go. It's been good. It's been emotional. Thanks for joining me, Chrono. And I'll hopefully see you next time. Yeah, I'm just going to put a load of memes on. All the memes. All the memes at once. And I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.